Hello students, welcome all of you. Today we will start our social science next chapter, recording and communication. This is lesson 11 of your social science book. Okay, this is lesson 11, but we will complete this chapter first because this is in our August syllabus. Okay, so let's start the chapter, recording and communication. Students, you know that we have progressed a lot, and now our culture, our society, and the way of life our is totally changed. And all human progress has been made possible by writing, use of numbers, and printing. We cannot imagine a world without writing, without numbers and printing. Now, these things become very important for us. So, in this chapter and in this video tutorial, what we will learn? So, basically, we will learn about how the art of writing began, the main script of the world, we have who gave the concept of zero, about the invention of printing press, the story of paper, and the Braille script. Okay, so students, you can also note down this important point in your notebook also. That by the end this chapter you will know how the art of writing began and the main script of world, who gave the concept of zero, about the invention of printing press, the story of paper, and the Braille script. Okay, this will be the important point of this video tutorial for our chapter. So students, you know that we send message in two different ways, by speaking or by writing, right? By speaking and by writing. But student, writing is a way of recording or storing words and ideas. People can read them at any time and at any place. Okay, so writing is just a way of recording or storing words and ideas, and people can read them at any time at any place. Long ago, in ancient India, for example, knowledge was passed orally from generation to generation. And early human beings passed their knowledge to the next generation orally, but it was difficult to remember everything. And to overcome this problem, drawing and writing were taken. Okay, so they started making drawing. So early human being used to live in caves. So he want to express his life in cave. So early human being expressed their feeling by drawing on the walls of the caves they lived in. They used to draw with piece of burnt wood. Many of these pictures show people hunting animals, but took a long time to draw things. So they gradually begin to use symbol. Symbol led to the development of script. And you can say the earliest form of written communication was through pictures that archaeologists found in cave. Like this, Bhimbetka is also a archaeologist place where early human used to live, and these caves paintings from Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. Bhimbetka is in Madhya Pradesh. This is a very important point. Write down this in your notebook. Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. There are more than 10,000 old written old paintings. More than 10,000 old painting were found here, and the cave printing from Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh was more than 10,000 year old. That cave and the painting was very old, means 10,000-year old these cave are, and their paintings are, means 10,000 year ago the means of communication for the human being was क्या था, the communication का mean था drawing. So this was the source of their written communication, these wall painting. So you can say that the earliest form of written communication was through pictures. The earliest form of written communication was through pictures. Okay, pictures किस चीज़ की बनाते थे वो? The pictures mainly of animal have been discovered in caves in which early human lived. Okay, so the earliest form of writing was there, this drawing, and they but making picture took a long time. It is a long time process, means you also draw something and you know that it's take too much time to draw a picture. So gradually the picture were replaced by signs and symbols, means now they started making signs and symbol instead of making pictures, drawing pictures. So student, in this chapter you will have to, and you have to understand that who first started writing symbol in place of these pictures. So student, the earliest form of writing was developed by Sumerian. It is known as cuneiform, and it represents words with symbols made of wedge shaped strokes. Okay, so here you can see the Sumerian of Mesopotamia, now in that is in Iraq now, were the first to develop a system of writing. Okay, so who is known as as a tribe or as a community and a place, a country who first used to develop the symbols as in place of the drawing. So the earliest form of written writing was developed by the Sumerian. Okay, it is right, it is developed by the Sumerian. So they made some symbols for the pictures, so called a script using sign over 5000 years ago, means they started this by 5000 years ago. So that's an important point, that Sumerian of Mesopotamia, now that is in Iraq, were the first to develop a system of writing that is called a script using sign over 5000 year ago. So what they did, uh, they use wedge shaped stroke, matlab they represented words with symbol made with wedge shaped stroke. So the word and this writing, it is known as cuneiform. Okay, so what is cuneiform? The word cuneiform itself means wedge shaped. Okay, and these were impressed on wet clay using a reed pen. Their words were impressed in wet clay red, using a reed pen, and the wet clay was then baked hard in the sun. So Egyptian used a system of picture writing known as, it is also known as hieroglyphic, and the Chinese and Japanese script are still based on pictures. Okay, so students, as we have learned that the Sumerian the Sumerian first developed the script, and the script were known as cuneiform script. Okay, so this is the picture of the cuneiform script. Here you can see this is cuneiform script. Okay, so Sumerian developed it, and the word cuneiform itself means wedge shaped. Okay, what is the meaning of cuneiform? It is wedge shaped. Okay, wedge shaped. Okay, so here you can see what is wedge shaped. This shape of this wedged shape, this is a wedged shape. Okay, that is thick from the center and very thin from the corners. So this is a wedge shaped. So they used a wedge shape that is known as cuneiform script. So you have to learn this word also. The word uniform itself means a wedge shape. You can write this also in your notebook also. What is the meaning of uniform? Itself means wedge shaped, and these were impressed on wet clay using a reed pen, and the wet clay was then baked. Okay, after that they baked it in ha- baked it hard in the sun. Okay, they make this type of tablet with clay, and then impress on it their symbols, their script, and after that they baked it hard in the sun. Okay, student, Egyptian also used a system of picture. This, though I am showing you cuneiform, this is Sumerian, but Egyptian. What about Egyptian? This is the Egyptian. This is the Egyptian style. So Egyptian also used a system of pictures writing known as hieroglyphic. Okay, the writing of the symbol is known as hieroglyphics. Okay, so and this is hieroglyphics. You can see the pictures here. This is hieroglyphics. Students, the Chinese and Japanese script are still based on pictures. The Chinese and Japanese scripts are still based on picture, and in our country the oldest script was in use during an Indus Valley civilization. In our country also, in India, that is used in Indus Valley civilization. It is found on the seal of those days. जब उस टाइम जो सील यूज़ होती थी, चीज़ों को सील किया जाता था by the stamp, so this script has not been deciphered as yet, means it is not still read it at yet. Okay, so this type of pictures they used in Indus Valley civilization. Here you can see this in your screen also. Okay, this is the picture of Indus Valley civilization. So student, next important point is the Brahmi script. Student, Brahmi script. What is Brahmi script? That came after this script of these Indus Valley civilization script. After it came Brahmi script, and most of the Indian scripts have been derived mainly from Brahmi. The Devanagari script and other script are based on sound. These scripts, like we are using Devanagari scripts, I, K, K, G, G. These are based on our sound. So is Hindi is written in Devanagari script, and we also use Urdu, Persian, and Arabic in our country. Students, there's a star fact in your book, that is hieroglyphic. What is the meaning of hieroglyphic? To write this in your notebook also. The word hieroglyphics means sacred writing because it was first used in tombs and temples. Okay, so they use these symbols on tombs and temples also. So they call it hieroglyphics, and this meaning of this word is sacred writings. मतलब पवित्र लेख, that is known as sacred writings, hieroglyphics. Now we will discuss about the story of the numbers, how humans started using numbers. Students, thousands of years ago, before man had invented numbers, people used pebbles and sticks for counting. Okay, and later on, fingers were used for counting. Even today, the system of counting 1 to 10 on fingers is popular in most languages. And in different parts of the world, various ways of writing numbers soon developed. Okay, so the Sumerian used shaped, but they counted in 60s. The Roman used 7 letters in their alphabet. You also know the Roman to write numbers. These are M, D, C, L, X, V, and I. These are their Roman numbers wordings. You also understand this. You have learned this in your maths also, that how the Romans used to write counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this number system we use today is called Hindu-Arabic system. This system was developed in India, and the concept of zero was discovered in India. Okay, the concept of zero was discovered in India, and the Arabs took this system of number from 0 to 9 to Europe. Okay, so you can say that proudly that India added 0 to maths, and it is inventory changes. It is completely changed the whole math. Okay, and Indian's great mathematician, the great mathematician Aryabhatta, he discovered 0. So after that, the Arabs took this system of numbers to Europe. Okay, so we have read that the Egyptian developed a script using pictures and symbol about 5000 years ago, and the Chinese and Japanese script are also based on pictures and symbols even today. Most languages today use the system of the alphabet. Alphabet are nothing but a symbol of representing different sound produced. The first proper alphabet system to be used was probably Syria about 3500 years ago. Syria, वहाँ पे ये यूज़ हुआ था. About 50 different alphabet systems are used in the world today, and the Roman alphabet, which is used to write the English language, has 26 letters. The oldest script in India was discovered in the seal of the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, these are the some important point you have to note down. No one yet have been read the script. Okay, it is not deciphered as yet. Means deciphered word means no one yet been able to read the script. Okay, so later the Brahmi and other script was discovered, and most script used to written Indian language today have been derived from the Brahmi script. The Devanagari script was used to write Hindi and some other Indian language. Here you can see Brahmi, Hindi, Arabic, medieval, modern. So these are some type of the symbol writing for the numbers. So you know that in the earlier days, human being used to write with sticks and stones, and even pictures were used to count. Okay, they used these things to count. Early human used pictures and symbol to keep record of number. For example, to record the number of animal they kill, they have to record these things. So early human used pictures and symbol to keep record of numbers. For example, to record the number of animal they killed. And the Roman developed a system of writing numbers in which seven symbols were used to write numbers from 1 to 10,000, 1 to 10 lakh. And the common system of writing number in most part of the world today is the Hindu Arabic system. You can see here, this is the Hindu Arabic system type 1 2 3 4 to 9 tak, and this is 10 20, that is in the Roman system. This system was developed in India more than 2000 years ago, and the Arabs took it to Europe. The beauty of the system is that it uses only 10 symbols from 0 to 9 to represent any number, no matter how large it is. Okay, you know that they write 1 like this is 5, this is 10, 50, 10, 500, 900. And in our system of the, you know, that counting system that we are using, so we only use 0 to 9, only this 10 symbol we use, and we can write the counting. जहाँ तक हमें लिखनी है हम लिख सकते हैं. So now the next talk is about the paper. How the paper is invented, what is the importance of this. So paper, about 4000 years ago, ancient Egyptians used the stem of plant called papyrus. Okay, the stem they used of the plant that is called papyrus. Here you can see, this is the picture of the plant here also. Okay, this is cypress papyrus. So they use the bark of this type of plant. So the name paper is derived from the papyrus. Okay, so who used this? About 4000 years ago, the ancient Egyptian used this papyrus. Okay, So papyrus was made from a stem of a papyrus plant which grew in the Nile Delta. Okay, and the figure below show papyrus was actually made. The forms called several pieces of papyrus were stuck together and papyrus continue in use until it was replaced by parchment. So this here you can see this show the papyrus plant before cultivation. This is papyrus. And after cultivation, the stem was cut into several thin lengths using a sharp tool. These lengths were laid next to each other and layers were placed to and top at a right angle like this. A piece of cloth were laid on top and then was harmed gently to break down the fibers. The papyrus was left to dry slightly and rubbed smooth with a stone. So now, like this, they prepared a papyrus to write on it. So the story of paper is also very important. Paper was first made in China. The Ceylon made paper by pounding the bark of mulberry tree. He also used old rag in making paper. So as we can see, true paper as we know is today was first made by Chinese about 1900 years ago. Okay, so the bark was made into pulp and then spread out in a thin sheet and left to dry. Today, wood pulp is used to make paper. Okay, so paper was invented before printing. What is printing? Printing means to print something, like when you are printing your book and you can make a thousand of copy of it. So this is the printing. But before this printing system, the paper was invented. Now we are getting everything printed, like our book is printed, our notebook is printed with lines, and newspapers are printed, magazines, everything you can see around yourself is totally printed. So how this uh, paper invented and how the printing invention was done, so let's talk about it. So here you can see paper was first made in China and the Ceylon made paper. You have to write this. The Ceylon made paper by pounding the bark of mulberry tree. Who made the paper first? The Ceylon. He also used old rags in making paper, and in our country the bark of a brick tree and the palm leaves were used as paper. Century earlier, the Egyptians made paper from a plant called papyrus. Okay, and the word paper has been derived from papyrus. And after the invention of the printing press, the demand of paper grew very fast. People looked for new ways to make paper. They learned to make paper from the wood pulp. Today, we make paper from a large variety of materials, and we should not waste paper as paper is made from tree and we can save them by not wasting paper. So paper was invented before printing. An earlier book had to be written by hand on paper before the printing. Now though we can print so many things, but when the printing machine was not invented, earlier books had to be written by hand on paper. This was slow and laborious. Books were therefore very rare and they were only available to a few people because people have to write the whole book and it takes so much time. So that's why you know that writing is a long time taking process. That's why only few rich people were having book at that time. So after that the printing invented, and printing was developed in China about 2000 years ago first. The Chinese cut design on a flat block of wood, means they cut it and they cut it in flat block of the wood. Thus an impression of the paper design was made on paper. Like this they cut a block of wood and then they impress it like the stamp on the paper. This method was used by the Chinese to print books. Though the block took a long time to make, several copies of a book could be made from them. After that, movable metal for printing was invented, and in the year 1450, Johannes Gutenberg, this is also a very important name, Johannes Gutenberg of Germany, brought about a revolution in printing. He invented a printing machine. Okay, and he made several small metal mold of the letters of the alphabet and could be arranged of from word lines and pages. This was called typesetting. He made several small metal mold like this. On your screen you can see on the letters of the alphabet and could be arranged to form words, lines and pages. This was called typesetting. Ink was applied to the typist pages and they were pressed on paper to get the impression. Once a book was printed, the individual types were taken apart and used to print another book. Putting another, the system of to make a page of a book was much faster and easier than making block of the pages. Books could now be printed much faster and in larger numbers, and they became cheaper and many more people could read them. Okay, so now this how this you can see the printing invented. So let's read about Braille, a script for the blind. Means blind cannot see. We can only read and write. Why? Because we can see. But what about the blind people? We read with our eyes. But how would a visually challenged person read? So, a special script called Braille allowed a person who cannot see to read a book using his or her fingers. Here you can see the picture of Braille, Louis Braille, who invented this. The script was developed by Louis Braille in French. In Braille, the letters of each words are printed in pattern of small dot. You can see here these types of dots were made, and the visually challenged person can touch it, and by the touching they can read. Knowledge, literacy and progress is very important. So with the coming of computer, printing has become much faster and better. So now metal types are no longer used. Instead, special computer software, an example page maker and InDesign, are used to arrange the text and pictures in the pages. For a country to make a progress, it is important that knowledge be communicated to a large number. Literacy is therefore the key of progress, and unfortunately, in India, large number of people still cannot read and write. So in India, a lot of people are still illiterate. Education is a must if we wish to progress. Literacy leads to superstitions. Illiteracy leads to superstitions and backwardness. To remove backwardness, we should promote literacy.